study the Bible. So, we have been studying stewardship for the last 2 times that we've been together. And so we continue tonight with this topic. And we had read 1 Corinthians chapter 9 through 14. So we will review a little bit of that as we go into Matthew 23:23. Okay, so let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 9 through 14. And as a review, let us read the point in question or in the study. Okay, and it reads, I believe, and I need to go to the other one. Excuse me on that. That was not, it's not number 10. It is number 9. I believe in church organization. It is my purpose to support the church by my tithes and offerings and by my personal effort and influence. Okay. So that is the topic that we are studying. So, first point is that we believe in church organization, and then the second one is that we support the church by the tithes, the offerings, and not just financially, but also, as we see here, personal effort and influence. So let's go then to Corinthians, and God has provided the church with a mission, and that is to be ministers of the grace of God, that His grace will reach many and will reach all, really. So, having received that mission, there is a need of funds to fulfill its purpose. 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 9 through 14. And yes, I recall now that we had left off. And let us just read verse 14 of chapter 9. Even so, the Lord has commanded that those who preach the gospel should live from the gospel. So we see here that it is right for a pastor to receive a salary. It is right for a pastor that if they sow spiritual things, that they would reap physical things. Okay, that's what it says in verse 11. If we have sown spiritual things for you, is it a great thing if we reap your material things? Okay. Now, yes, let's go to Matthew 23:23. Jacob, would you like to read Matthew 23:23?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Let me get a look at it.
Yeah, go for it. So this is a chapter that is referencing to the woes and to the Pharisees. This opens up the eyes of the people that they will see the kind of person that the Pharisees were.
Matthew what?
23, verse 23.
23.
Let me know when you're there.
Okay. Matthew 23.
Yes.
I'm there.
Okay, go for it.
It said, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay tithes and mint and eyes and cumin, and have neglected to weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faith. These you ought to have done without leaving the others undone.
Okay. So there we have Christ speaking about what is the weightier matters of the law. What does it mean, the weightier matters of the law? What do you think?
I don't know.
So weightier, that means heavier, right?
Oh, heavier.
Yeah. So if it's heavier, then that means that it is more what? More important. So the more important or the primary things of the law, what are they? They are justice, mercy, and faith. So these three things are the most important. And the Pharisees, what they were doing is that they were, as it says in another verse, that they would they will filter out like a fly, but they would overlook the camel. So as to say that they would be focused on tithing the little things, but they were overlooking these three most important things: justice, mercy, and faith. These you ought to have done without leaving the others undone. So that means to say that God also wants tithes. Okay? So Christ then is giving a seal of approval to tithing. Okay? Justice, mercy, and faith. Now, it would be good to look in the Bible commentary and see these three things. We want to come back to that. So let's write that down, because we want to come back to that. Mercy and faith as 23 of Matthew. Okay. Let's go to our next verse. Now let's go to Romans chapter 15, verse 26 through 27. So 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and Matthew 23 have been in regards to principles for supporting God's work. And now we're gonna go into generosity to others. Romans 15, 26 through 27.
Lucas.
Yeah.
I have Dylan joining us.
Welcome, Dylan. Glad you're joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you guys.
Good to hear your voice. You're always welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, we're thankful to God that you're here. Romans chapter 15, verse 26 and 27 is our next verse. And so we read. Actually, if I may have a reader on this one, may I have a reader for chapter 15, Romans 26 and 27. Do you have the Bible verse, Jacob? Romans 15, 26 and 27?
15:26. Say 15, 26, 27.
Yes.
Sure. Says, for it pleased those from Macedonia and Achaia to make certain contribution to the poor among the saints who are in Jerusalem. It pleased them indeed, and they are their debtors. For if the Gentiles have been partakers of their spiritual things, their duty is also to minister to them material things.
Okay. Yeah. So what's going on here that we're seeing is that the Gentiles from Macedonia, Achaia here, they are giving an offering to the saints who are in Jerusalem. So these would be the Jewish people that are also Christian that are in Jerusalem. It says here, a certain contribution for the poor among the saints who are in Jerusalem. And it says that the Gentiles have been partaker of their spiritual things, so they want to contribute, and Paul calls it their duty to share the physical things or material things here to the Jews in Jerusalem, those that especially I need the most. Okay? So that tells us the principle of duty, actually, that Paul uses that word. Okay? So we read it one more time. For it pleased those from Macedonia and Achaia to make a certain contribution for the poor among the saints who are in Jerusalem. It pleased them indeed, and they are their debtors. For if the Gentiles have been partakers of their spiritual things, their duty is also to minister to them in material things. So I want to go here to the Bible commentary just to see a little bit of context to this verse, like we usually do, so that we just see it within its context. So I go to the letter of Romans, and from chapter 1 through chapter 11 we have a doctrinal exposition, then and an introduction as well in chapter 1. Then in this now third part, second one is, or the first one is introduction, second one doctrinal exposition, the third one practical application to the doctrine of righteousness by faith. And that is chapter 12 until chapter 15, and we are looking into chapter 15. So, but it's only until verse 13. So, then in the conclusion is when we find the verse that we're reading here, almost at the end of the letter. Personal explanations, chapter 15, verse 44 through 33. So that's where we're at. So I open up chapter 15 and I read an outline of the chapter.
That was the first what? Two verses. That was Lucas.
So the conclusion is, you have three parts here, main parts: the doctrinal part, then the application, and then a conclusion. So the conclusion is chapter 15, and verses 44 through 33 is
You
the,
mean 24?
yeah, 14. I said 44. Chapter 15, verse 14 through 33 is the personal explanations that we're gonna look into, just to see the context of the verses that we just read. Okay, so verse 14 through 33, and just the outline. We're not gonna read the whole thing. It reads this outline. We're gonna go into verse 15. Paul explains why he wrote as he did, or why he writes as he did, or as he does. He promised to visit the Romans, and he asks of their prayers. Okay. And that is something important, friends, that we see Paul asking for prayer from his brethren. And that is something that we also are to take advantage of, to ask prayer for ourselves, from our brethren, especially when we feel the need of that. So the verses we read were 26 through 27. So from verse 15, that's the topic that connects to verses 26 and 27. So it's quite a bit of verses to read from 15 to 27. So maybe we'll just read from verse 22. Or verse 22. For this reason I also have been much hindered from coming to you, but now, no longer having a place in these parts, and having a great desire these many years to come to you, whenever I journey to Spain, I shall come to you, for I hope to see you on my journey, and to be helped on my way there by you, if first I may enjoy your company for a while. But now I'm going to Jerusalem to minister to the saints. And there it begins what we read. So basically, what's going on is that Paul plans to go to Spain, and he is going first to Jerusalem to carry the offering that he collected from the Gentiles to the Jews within Jerusalem. And the Gentiles were eager to participate in sharing of their physical or material blessings to the Jews from Jerusalem, whom they were thankful for having been made partakers of the message of Christ. Okay. So now we have our last verse. Is verse, how will we say it? The last reference. 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verses 1 through 15 is our last reference. We're gonna go there as well. 2 Corinthians, and what we're looking at.
What have a look at?
This is 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verses 1 through 15.
God.
Uh,
we gotta look at.
okay, that's great. Now, before we read it, let's think about what we read in Romans. In Romans, we read that there was a duty from the Gentiles, or it was described as a duty that they were willing to do it. They likely had the initiative to do that, and I think they did, to give the offering, and Paul calls it a duty. So now let's see what 2 Corinthians chapter 8 verses 1 through 15 tell us. And we are reading of how many verses? 15 verses. So that's quite a bit. So before we read them, let us, as we do again, look at the outline of this section here before we read these first 15 verses, okay? So, the outline of 2 Corinthians. We have an introduction, first part. Then, second is the recent relations with the Church of Corinth. The number 3. And that is where we start. Chapter 8 through chapter 9, verse 15. The collection for the Christians that were in need in Judea. And so it is broken down into the exemplary generosity of the churches of Macedonia, the example of Christ, and that is as far as we're gonna go. So I also go to chapter 8 to see the outline of the chapter here. And it says, he persuades to give a generous contribution for the poor in Jerusalem, imitating the example of the Macedonians, raising their quickness. And what else? He says, by the example of Christ. So he is persuading by the example of Christ and by the spiritual benefit that it would give unto them. So he's appealing to them that they will be generous, or that they will be blessed themselves spiritually. Okay? So I'm gonna read this one more time. He persuades them to give a generous contribution for the poor in Jerusalem, imitating the example of the Macedonians. So he's appealing to the Corinthians. He's praising their earlier quickness. And let's actually read the verses themselves, so that way it will be better off than reading the outline again. So let's go ahead and read verses 1 through 15. Josue, do you have a microphone? Or our friend Dylan may help us out.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind reading.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
All right, and we're going to read from 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verses 1 through 15, correct?
Yes, but we may pause if
Yes.
from time to time. Just bear with me.
Yeah, I'll pause the verses if you need to jump in there, okay?
Thank you.
All right, verse 1. Moreover, brethren, we make known to you the grace of God bestowed on the churches of Macedonia, that in a great trial of affliction, the abundance of their joy and their deep poverty abounded in the riches of their liberality. For I bear witness that according to their ability, yes, and beyond their ability, they were freely willing, imploring us with much urgency that we would receive the gift and the fellowship of the ministering to the saints. And not only, as we had hoped, but they first gave themselves to the Lord, and then to us by the will of God. So we urge Titus, that as he had begun, so he would also complete this grace in you as well. But as you abound in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in all diligence, and in your love for us, see that you abound in this grace also. Keep going here.
Okay. We can pause. We can pause right there. Thank you. So we're seeing here that Paul, he is appealing to the Corinthians, saying in verse 1 that there was a grace of God that was bestowed on the churches of Macedonia. And that grace of God would be that, as it says in verse 2, that in a great trial of affliction, the abundance of their joy and their deep poverty abounded in the riches of their liberality. So the grace of God is manifested in that they are being generous. And even in a great trial of affliction, again, the abundance of their joy and their deep poverty abounded in the riches of their liberality.
So Lucas.
Yeah.
Paul, right, is the author of this one?
Yes.
Paul is comparing the Corinthian church to the Macedonian church, and the Macedonians are like, they're all in on like the charity aspect of their church, right?
Yes.
Okay, and they're like, and he's basically trying to encourage the Corinthian church to be like, hey, like, act on your faith, right? Is that what I'm getting?
Yes, and
thank you. Gotcha.
Yeah. You're right on, and he's saying here that the grace of God is what is causing or caused the Macedonians to be generous, and that they were in trial, and that they were had great joy, and even though they had deep poverty, yet it abounded in the riches of their liberality. So they, in their great poverty, they still gave as much as or beyond what they could, or beyond what they gave more that they were being need. They still gave out more. Verse 3, we're gonna just reread a little bit here. For I bear witness that according to their ability, yes, and beyond their ability, they were freely willing, imploring us with much urgency that we would receive the gift and the fellowship of the ministering to the saints. So the Macedonians again are being described in what they did, that they were giving, and they were imploring to Paul that they would participate in ministering to the saints. And not only as we had hoped, but they first gave themselves to the Lord, and then to us by the will of God. What I'm getting from this verse is that Paul was hoping that the Macedonians would convert to the Lord, yet it went beyond. Not only they convert to the Lord, but also they became ministers to those in Jerusalem through their gift. So we urge Titus that as he had begun, so he would also complete this grace in you as well. Titus being mentioned here, he had, so he would also complete this grace in you as well. I think that what is referenced here is that Titus is the person sent to the Corinthians to receive the offering that Paul was making an appeal of. So he's beginning to ask if they will participate, and he's completing this grace by receiving the gift. But as you abound in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in all diligence, and in your love for us, see that you abound in this grace also. So the Corinthian church had been blessed spiritually. It says here, faith, speech, knowledge, diligence, in your love for us. This looks like a response to the word of the gospel. They responded with faith. They abounded in knowledge, in speech. I think a reference to sharing the gospel, and then diligence, and also love. So Paul then is appealing that they would also abound in giving an offering. And would you like to continue, Dylan, at verse 8?
I will continue unless someone else wants to pick it up at verse 8. I want to give people a chance if they want to read.
Okay. Let me see here. Josue, I see your text. It might not about. Okay, if you're able, then feel free to say something so that we know that you may read. Okay.
I don't mind picking it up though too if you need.
Yes.
Hey.
Josue!
Hey, Josue. Hey, good.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Josue, do you want to pick up? You want to pick up at verse 8, 2 Corinthians? I think I got it.
Until verse 15.
Yeah, 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 8.
So sorry. What is translation that you're using? What is your translation? What do you? Yeah, which one are you using? Well, I have the New King James.
Josue. Lucas.
Yes, Jacob.
It's time for me to hop off, Lucas.
Oh, friend. Well, we're almost done. We're almost done until verse 15. But if you have to go, thank you, Jacob, for joining us. Yeah, God bless you, brother.
Lucas, and don't hang up for tonight, Lucas.
One more time.
Don't hang up for tonight, Lucas.
That Dylan is also signing up.
He's hanging out for tonight.
Okay. Right. Well, guys, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining me. And he says, thanks for having him.
He says what?
Thanks for having him.
Oh, well, happy he joined in. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we'll finish off the reading. Brother Joshua, if you could help us out with New King James, yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you, bro. Chapter 8. Okay.
Lucas, Lucas,
What is that, Jacob?
did you kind of Toby's asking for his back and his hip?
Okay, yes, we'll pray. That you're saying that he's asking for prayer. We'll pray at the end.
For his back
for all
and
the
his hip.
yes, we'll pray for that. Jacob, I'm ready.
Alright.
All right, friend Jacob. Good night, bro.
I'm only good, Lucas.
Yeah, that you're living okay. A great night. A good night, and take care, my friend.
I said I wasn't leaving yet, Lucas. I'm waiting until we finish.
Okay, great. Go for it, Jose. Something's going on with the micro. Yeah. It's like making your voice like technical, like a machine. Yeah, I know, but it's the thing. It's the technology. Okay. Then I'll just read it. Then yeah. Hopefully we can have better sound next time. Okay, I'll just finish off for Jacob too. Speak not by commandment, but I am testing the sincerity of your love by the diligence of others. When he says diligence of others, I think that it would be a reference to they themselves. For I think the diligence of others referring to those of Macedonia. That's what. For the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor, that you, through his poverty, might become rich. And in this I give advice. It is to your advantage not only to be doing what you began and were desiring to do a year ago, but now you also must complete the doing of it, that as there was a readiness to desire it, so there also may be a completion out of what you have. For if there is first the willing mind, it is accepted according to what one has, and not according to what he does not have. For I do not mean that others should be eased and you burdened. 14. But by an equality, that now at this time your abundance may supply their lack, that their abundance also may supply your lack, that there may be equality. As it is written, he who gathered much had nothing left over, and he who gathered little had no lack. Okay? And that is until our verse 15. So, what with respect to the tithes and offering, with respect to being a steward, this people that into the is a part of freedom. Also, it is not referencing, not as a commandment, but
Lucas, no, break him, Lucas.
to test the generosity.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Let me see. I'm okay. Now it should be better. Okay.
Mike.
verse 8 tells us that I think Jacob, you said that it's good now.
Yep.
Okay, great. Verse 8 is telling us that it is Paul is not wanting this to be a commandment. He's not writing as a commandment, but rather he is asking, if you love me, if you love what you have, whom you received it from, that then he appeals that they would also receive a blessing by being generous. And also, as we see also an important point here in verse 13 onward, a stewardship principle, that of not giving more than what you are able, so that there will be equality, you see. So now you may compare it to the widow, that she gave her 2 mites, she gave everything. Yet also this principle here, we see it in the Bible, that of sharing what is that you are able, so that it would not create a different burden, um, but rather that they would share with each other. Okay? So anyone else, anyone wants to comment on these verses that we read?
Oh, that's for me.
Okay. Josué? Any thoughts you would like to share about these verses? But you can try. We'll hear you. Hey.
Josué.
All right. That do you have any thoughts you would like to share about 2 Corinthians 8, 1 through 15? I can hear you. If I can, then I'll just let you know. Let repeat the way. It's so far.
An ideal. So man, I guess you might say that.
Again.
Hello? Yeah, I can hear feedback.
Okay. Jacob.
Lucas, I really got ground, Lucas.
One more time.
I really got gone now.
You gotta go. My friend Jacob, thank you for joining us this far.
And please keep Toby in prayer, Lucas.
Okay. Thank you, Jacob.
See you halfway.
I'll pray for. I'll
Alright,
keep.
Lucas. Toby, pray, Toby. Toby, thank you.
Thank God.
See you next time, Lucas.
Hey man.
Yep.
God bless, man.
God bless you, your halfway.
I pray, man. Get one.
Alright, Lucas.
All right, Jacob.
Have a good night, you too.
Thank you. Same to you.
Halfway.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So as bro, as I was listening to what you were saying, yeah, let's continue because we open it up. Yeah. So um, definitely make us to the real world that that we live in, whereas the church may use, or some members of the church may use money in a way that we may not agree with. And if that is the case, then the advice is to contact the church and let them know what you think. Okay. And yes, you want to reply? Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. Well, I was thinking of a quote from a known author, or a famous author, Ellen White, that she shared that idea. But yeah, definitely prayer and also leaving it to the Lord as well. Both important things to do. And yes, that it is an ideal. What is being described here, chapter 8, verse 1 through 15. Um, Yet, the churches of Macedonia, they lived up to that ideal. So it is for us now that we also will live up to the ideal, because it says somewhere about the will of God. So we want to, that is always ideal. So we want to aim for that. And also that that even though we're not forced, yet it is a duty. We read that from the earlier section there. I think it was Romans 15, 26, and 27, perhaps, that yeah, 26 and 27, that it was a duty. So the Bible may describe to us things that we need to do, and anyway. Only you said you want to make this video. No, it's fine. The microphone is fine. I just heard you say if you want to continue making the video holy. Yeah, let's continue. Yeah. Yeah. Um, What is the principle here that we are reading off from 2 Corinthians chapter 8, 1 through 15? We see Paul that he makes an appeal that um, that love will be tested. So, in other words, if I see that the preachers that have blessed me with the Bible, if I see them that they are lacking food, or that they are in poverty, and I'm better off than them, then it would be it would be a duty to share of the physical, the material blessings that I have received from God, being that they share with me the spiritual blessings. Well, I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios that we can think of, but as we just stick to the principle, as those that are the ones that are offering. And yes, you brought up the example of what if I don't agree with the way that it's being used. Um, so there could be, for example, a pastor that may use the money to, like, he's becoming a millionaire or something like that. Well, and you can't just give blindly and say, well, it is for the church of God. You just have to have also some common sense too, when you give out offerings, that that you're also show through the destination of where your offering is going to, that you value the advancement, or that you are being a good steward in the advancement of the kingdom of God. Mm. Yeah. You're breaking up now. Sorry, brother. You're breaking up. we can keep going on a phone call. So let's I think in some other way. Hopefully. Let us pray, shall we, for our we can pause our recording. Thank you, friends, for joining in or listening in, and may God bless you.